Phir Milenge, Promise to Meet Again, begins on a rainy evening in Delhi, where Anya, a photojournalist known for capturing raw human stories, stares at the fogged-up window of a train bound for Shimla. Her fingers lightly graze the foggy glass, tracing the outline of a name, Kabir. It's been 7 years. 7 years since that final, silent goodbye at the station. No closure, no words, just a glance and the unspoken weight of 100 promises undone. Anya had chosen her career, while Kabir, an idealist and poet, had chosen a quiet life in the hills. Their love, once wild and warm like a monsoon breeze, had dissolved into a pause neither had dared to resume. But today, the pause is breaking. The train whistle echoes through the twilight, and her heart beats with the rhythm of unfinished love. She's on assignment, a human interest story about Himalayan schoolchildren, but deep inside, there's another story waiting, one of longing, hope, and perhaps reunion. In Shimla, snowflakes settle like secrets, and Anya finds herself in a tiny village where time stands still and the air smells of pine and promises. She's greeted by little Neil, a boy with Kabir's eyes and laughter. Suspicion stirs in her heart. She's drawn to his mother, Maya, serene, soft-spoken, with a familiar ache behind her smile. Anya photographs the school, the children, the mountains, but her lens keeps drifting back to Neil's dimples and the poetry pinned on classroom walls, poems she knows by heart, because they were once written for her. She asks the headmaster about the poet, and he simply says, "Kabir teaches here. Lives near the old apple orchard." That night, under a starlit sky, Anya walks to the orchard. Her boots crunch the snow, her breath visible in the frozen air, her heart louder than the silence around her. And then she sees him. Kabir, older, bearded, chopping wood, his sleeves rolled, his poetry still hanging in the cold mountain wind. They lock eyes. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's just complete. The kind of silence that speaks only when words have exhausted themselves. "You came," he says. She nods. "You waited." He smiles gently. "Only for you." They walk. They talk. They remember. The fight they never resolved. The dreams they chose. The worlds that didn't collide. She tells him about cities, chaos, loneliness, and success. He tells her about sunsets, syllables, and a child named Neil, not his, but his world. He adopted Neil after the boy's mother, a fellow teacher, died in a landslide. Anya tears up. She had feared the worst, that he moved on, that she had become just a stanza in his past. But Kabir never stopped writing about her. The poems never said goodbye. They always ended with Phir Milenge. Days pass. They laugh. They hike. They argue again. They rediscover pieces of each other. But the question lingers. Will they try again? Or will life part them a second time? On her last day, Anya finishes her photo essay and sits beside Kabir, reading him a letter she once wrote but never sent. It speaks of regret, but also of the constancy of her love. How, through awards, headlines, and flights, she carried the scent of his poems in her purse. Kabir holds her hand. "If you stay, we write a new chapter. If you go, we end the story where we must." Anya looks at the mountains. "What if I stay but also go for stories, for work, and keep coming back?" He smiles. "Then we say, Phir Milenge, and mean it every time." The next morning, Anya leaves, not with pain, but with peace. Her final photo, Kabir and Neil, waving at the train. In the city, her photo series becomes a sensation. But what captures hearts most is the final caption. In the end, not all goodbyes are forever. Some are just pauses. Until we meet again, Phir Milenge. She returns months later. And again. And again. The promise, once broken, now renewed. Because some stories are never truly over. They just rest between seasons, waiting for spring. Cherry blossom.